proposition. May I invite Dr. Lai?
When we started this today, we told you very clearly what our burden. We told you that our burden was that unregulated markets are bad, and we told you that it's especially so for all. And we've done both of these things. So before I go on to show you why that's so, let me talk to you about what they said and why that's problematic. Because they say that the state cannot be the sole purveyor of this kind of access because it's just not fair, it doesn't come to an efficient valuation. But they didn't really prove that other than saying the market is efficient. Because when they assume that the market is efficient, they're giving a value to what efficient means. Efficient is the price based on people's capacity to pay or people's demand. But as a state, we don't want to use that metric. We don't think that efficiency comes out of giving the best price to these individuals. It's more about giving healthcare to people who need it and people who are your citizens, which is something that they haven't got on their side. Just because they're using the word efficient doesn't necessarily make it good, because the efficiency comes at that paradigm and on the basis of that metric, and we have a problem with that. The second thing they assume is that everyone will have access. We told you that's just not true. By putting things on Flipkart doesn't mean everyone has whatever book they want. I certainly don't. When they say that this kind of information will percolate because companies have an incentive to give it, that's just bollocks. The reason you have nutritional information on a packet of chips is not because Lay's wants to tell you how nutritional or not nutritional it is. It's because the state told it to do it, and that's a regulation of a market. And that's exactly the point. Even if it's not only fraud, they say we're giving you one kidney and we're taking money and that's a contract. But that doesn't tell you the quality of that kidney, that doesn't tell you the status in which it is removed. Their response to this was, because people are paying money for it, they will get it right and they won't be shoddy about it. But will they care about the donor? Their incentive is to get the kidney out as cheaply as possible and make sure it's viable until it gets to the customer. But that doesn't mean you take care of the donor. That doesn't mean you have particularly hygienic standards in what happens to the post-op. Right? When we told you that you'll wake up in a random bathtub with ice and water. We think there are problems with this. We think that even if these companies advertise or whatever, the incentive structure that they're coming from is all wrong. And that even though you have Starbucks, you also have $3 coolers of coffee outside, which might not be particularly good for your stomach, especially in Calcutta, because most of your water for like street food seems to come straight out of the river Hooghly. So we think in that particular problem, we have a big issue here, because we're talking about the fact that people who can't afford it deserve not to have access, deserve not to be able to get it at good prices or at a viable price, and they deserve to get bad stuff because that's all they probably end up affording. Because not everyone gets Starbucks. Their response to this was, make the government buy it and sell it on that basis. The problem with that is it doesn't deal with the standards in terms of the supply side, because even then intermediaries will be there. If the government is buying in bulk, you can't really go around and get it from everyone in that sense without setting up a forum, because access is still important, and we don't see how they've dealt with that. Most importantly, on the principled idea that the state has the need to provide help, all they have in terms of argument about that was capacity. We think that's horrible. We think an idea that the state, if it can't do something about it, doesn't take the right away. It means the state has to make more of an effort to find a way to do it. We think in this specific context, when we come up with a model that solves out that problem, we have the capacity to give people organs when they don't have one. We've had that technology, organ transplant, for a long time. We can't claim we don't have the capacity. We have to do something about it, and our measure works. Because what we're saying is supply is low, so we increase the price at which we procure. We say if demand is low, then we can modulate the price and determine that on that basis. So in this situation, it's not like more people are dying in that paradigm. It's likely that more people are dying in there because they get unhealthy, unviable kidneys because they can't afford it. We think that's problematic. And finally, about innovation and wastage in all this. Let's be clear about it. There might be innovation. We said that there are alternate ways to ensure that innovation happens in the public sector as well. Nothing that they're responding to. But instead, they say private players have an incentive. But that innovation is targeted towards cutting their costs. We don't see that particularly relevant to ensuring that people manage to get access to public health. And finally, we told you that we are raised to the bottom because these guys are running with the wrong incentive. The state has the right one. At the end of this debate, we can have it back.